Introduction. A heart-wrenching wake-up call. Picture this. You're sitting in your cozy living room, the morning sun streaming through the window, warming your hands as you sip coffee brewed just the way you like it. The familiar creak of your favorite armchair, the scent of your garden flowers drifting in, the quiet hum of a life you've built over decades. Then, in one life-altering decision, it's all gone. Your freedom, your routines, your identity replaced by sterile walls, a rigid schedule, and a nagging sense that you're no longer in control. At 82, I made that choice, moving into a nursing home, convinced it was the safe option for my golden years. My family urged me, promising care and comfort. Oh, how wrong we were. The reality hit me like a freight train, and I'm here to share the 6 brutal truths I wish someone had screamed in my ear before I signed away my independence. If you or someone you love is even considering a nursing home, stay with me. These could change everything. These lessons aren't just my story. They're a wake-up call for anyone who thinks it's just a place to live. Trust me, it's so much more, and not in a good way. Let's dive in. 1. The crushing loss of independence. When I walked through the nursing home doors, I didn't just leave my house behind. I left control behind. At home, my days were mine. I'd wake up at 6:30 a.m. because I loved watching the sunrise with my coffee. I'd decide to whip up scrambled eggs or take a spontaneous walk around my neighborhood, waving at familiar faces. Simple joys, right? But in the nursing home, forget it. Breakfast is at 7 a.m. sharp, whether your stomach's growling or not. Lights out at 9 p.m., even if you're engrossed in a good book. Want to take a stroll outside? You'll need permission, and probably a staff member trailing you like a shadow. I'll never forget my first morning there. I woke up in a bed that felt foreign, the mattress too firm, the pillows too flat. I reached for my favorite book, a worn copy of To Kill a Mockingbird I'd read a dozen times, only to realize it was 200 miles away, packed in a box with the rest of my life. My cozy armchair, where I'd spent countless evenings knitting or listening to old jazz records, gone. My kitchen, where I'd perfected my apple pie recipe over decades, a memory. In their place were beige walls, a sterile nightstand, and a schedule I didn't create. The worst part? You don't just lose your routines, you lose you. Simple choices, like picking out a sweater or deciding to nap at 2 p.m., become privileges. I remember asking for a second cup of coffee one morning, only to be told, "We don't do that after 8 a.m. It wasn't about the coffee, it was the realization that I wasn't in charge anymore. The longer you stay, the more you adapt to their system. You stop arguing about meal times. You stop asking to go outside. You shrink to fit their mold, and it's a mold that suffocates your spirit. Ask yourself, are you ready to trade the freedom to live life on your terms for someone else's rules? Those little choices, when to eat, what to wear, how to spend your day are the threads of your identity. Once they're cut, sewing them back together is a battle you might not win. What's one routine you'd hate to lose? Drop it in the comments to keep this real. 2. The heartache of feeling forgotten. They'll visit all the time, my daughter said, her voice full of conviction. My grandkids nodded, promising weekend trips with ice cream and laughter. I clung to those words like a lifeline, picturing lively visits to keep me tethered to the world I loved. But reality? It's a slow, painful fade. The first month, my daughter stopped by every Sunday, her smile a balm for my homesickness. My grandkids brought drawings, their chatter filling the quiet. But then, life happened. Work got hectic. School projects piled up. Soccer games and birthday parties took priority. By month 3, weekly visits turned into bi-weekly calls. By month 6, I was lucky to see my family once a month. Holidays were the worst. "We'll be there for Christmas," they'd say, but last-minute plans, a sick kid, a work emergency left me staring at an empty doorway, the festive wreath on the wall mocking my hope. I saw it in other residents too. There was Martha, 79, who kept a photo of her son by her bed. She'd light up when she talked about him, but her eyes dimmed when weeks passed without a visit. "He's busy," she'd say, forcing a smile, but we both knew the truth. When you're not in their daily lives, it's easy to slip from their minds. It's not that they stop loving you, it's that the nursing home becomes a bubble, and you're trapped inside while the world spins on. One evening, I sat in my room, holding my phone, my thumb hovering over my son's number. I wanted to hear his voice, to ask about his day. But the fear of being a burden stopped me. I didn't call, and the silence was louder than any words. Ask yourself, can you handle the sting of loneliness when visits dwindle? Because no matter how much your family loves you, life outside those walls keeps moving, and you might not be part of it. Drop a 2 in the comments if this hits close to home, and share how you keep family ties strong. 3. Losing the spark of purpose. At home, I had a reason to get up every morning. I'd water my roses, their petals a burst of color that made my heart sing. I'd brew coffee, savoring the ritual of grinding beans just so. Even tidying my living room gave me a sense of accomplishment. Those small tasks weren't chores, they were my purpose. But in the nursing home, they vanished. Meals arrived on a tray, cooked by someone else. Cleaning, handled by staff. My roses, left behind in a garden I'd never see again. At first I thought, great, no more chores, I can relax. But relaxation turned into emptiness. Days stretched into weeks, with nothing to do but wait for meals, for meds, for bedtime. I watched other residents fade too. There was Tom, a retired gardener who could make any plant thrive. At home, he'd spend hours pruning, planting, creating beauty. Here, no soil, no tools, no purpose. His hands, once calloused from work, grew soft and idle. "I feel useless," he told me one afternoon, his voice barely a whisper. I felt it too. Without purpose, time becomes a thief. You sit, you stare, you wait for the day to end, only to wake up to the same empty routine. I tried joining activities bingo, crafts, but they felt like distractions, not meaning. Purpose isn't just about filling time, it's about feeling alive. Ask yourself, what makes your days worth living? Because in a nursing home, holding on to purpose isn't just hard, it's a fight to keep your soul from slipping away. What gives you purpose? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. 4. Your health declines faster than you think. Before the nursing home, I was proud of my health. At 82, I wasn't running marathons, but I walked a mile every morning, my sneakers crunching on the gravel path near my house. I cooked balanced meals, grilled chicken, fresh veggies from the farmer's market. I stretched in my living room, keeping my joints limber. But once I moved in, everything changed. The nursing home was designed for convenience. Meals arrived ready-made, so I didn't cook. Staff helped with tasks, so I didn't move as much. At first, It felt like a luxury, no dishes to wash, no floors to sweep. But then I noticed my legs felt heavier. Getting out of a chair took effort. My daily walks, replaced by short shuffles to the dining hall. Within 6 months I'd lost muscle I'd spent years building. I saw it in others too. Clara, 80, arrived with a spring in her step, determined to keep up her courtyard walks. But the routine of sitting, waiting, and being cared for took its toll. By month 8, she was using a walker. By year 1, a wheelchair. "I don't know when I aged 10 years, she said, her voice trembling. But I knew. It's the trap of ease. When you stop moving, your body gives up. The staff encouraged rest, but rest became a slow decline. My strength faded, my confidence waned, and simple tasks felt daunting. I wasn't just aging, I was shrinking. Ask yourself, are you ready to lose the strength you've worked so hard to maintain? Because in a place built for ease, staying active is a battle you have to choose every day. Drop a 4 in the comments if this shocks you, and share your tips for staying strong. 5. The quiet erosion of privacy and dignity. At home, my space was my sanctuary. I could close my bedroom door, take a long shower, or sit in silence with my thoughts. Privacy was a given, not a gift. But in the nursing home, privacy is a ghost. Staff knock but don't always wait for an answer. Room checks happen on their schedule. Even personal moments like getting dressed or using the bathroom can require assistance, stripping away dignity you didn't realize you'd miss. I was lucky with a kind roommate, but others weren't. My friend Ellen shared a room with someone who talked loudly at night, her sleep a distant memory. Another resident, John, had a roommate with dementia who left messes that staff were slow to clean. Your room isn't yours, it's a shared space, a clinical space, a reminder that you're not home. Then there's the loss of choice. Want chicken instead of fish for dinner? Too bad if it's not on the menu. Want to wear your favorite blue sweater? You'll wear what's clean and approved. I remember my first week, waiting 20 minutes for help to use the bathroom because the call button went unanswered. It wasn't just inconvenient, it was humiliating. Ask yourself, can you imagine losing the privacy of your own home, the dignity of your own choices? Because once they're gone, you'll feel it in your bones. What's one thing you value about your privacy? Share it below. 6. The trap of temporary. I'll just try it, I told myself. If it doesn't work, I'll go home. It sounded so simple. But the truth? Moving into a nursing home is like stepping into quicksand. The longer you're in, the harder it is to get out. My house sat empty, the lawn overgrown, bills piling up. My kids, thinking they were helping, started selling my furniture, my keepsakes, things I wouldn't need. When I mentioned moving back, their faces fell. Are you sure you can manage alone? It's safer here. The kicker? I wasn't as strong as I used to be. Months of sitting, of not cooking or cleaning, had weakened me. The confidence I'd had to live independently was eroding. I met others in the same trap. One woman, Susan, planned to stay just a few months. But her home was sold, her savings drained by care costs. Leaving wasn't an option anymore. It was a dream. The nursing home becomes your world. The outside feels distant, unattainable. You settle in, not because you want to, but because the barriers, physical, financial, emotional, are too high to climb. Ask yourself, are you ready for a temporary move to become your forever? Because once you're in, the life you knew might slip away for good. Drop a 6 in the comments if this one hit you hard, and tell me how you'd avoid this trap. Final thoughts. Don't let this be your story. I don't regret growing older, it's a gift to see 82 years. But I do regret thinking a nursing home was my only path. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, a better life. Instead, I lost my freedom, my purpose, my privacy, myself. Nursing homes aren't evil. Some people need their care. But they come at a cost no brochure will ever tell you. If I could turn back time, I'd fight with everything I had to stay in my home. I'd look into home care, community programs, neighbors who could check in, anything to keep my independence. If you're facing this choice, stop. Ask yourself, is this really what's best, or just what seems easiest right now? Your life, your routines, your choices, your you is worth fighting for. Don't let it slip away. Let's talk. What's one lesson from this video that shook you the most? Share it in the comments. I read everyone, and your stories keep me going. Have you or a loved one faced this decision? How did you navigate it? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe with the bell icon to stay in the loop. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. You could save them from a choice they'll regret. Thank you for watching. Let's keep this conversation alive.